Monsters Incorporated Storybook Collection. Making the team. Mike and Sulley were having a picnic in Monstropolis Park. It was a beautiful spring day. I love this time of year, Mike said. The birds are singing, the flowers are blooming, and Monster Ball season is on its way, Sulley finished for him. The friends glanced over at a group of monsters playing Monster Ball nearby. Boy, do I love that game, Mike smiled. In Monster Ball, two teams both tried to keep a ball in the air on one side of a net. Oh, it's kind of like volleyball. But since the court was covered in mud and there was a slime pit on each side, players sometimes had to jump over it to hit the ball. Tryouts for the Monsters Incorporated team are starting soon, Sulley said. Should we sign up? I don't know, Mike said. I was pretty embarrassed after last year's tryouts. Remember how I kept missing the Monster Ball? Then I knocked George Sanderson into the slime pit, Sulley said. And I went flying in the wrong direction, Mike said, laughing. The other team thought I was helping them win. Yeah, Sulley agreed. You can hardly blame them for not letting us on the team. Mike nodded. But we still went to every game. It was a good season, Sulley said. The Monsters Incorporated team almost won the championship. And we were there for it, cheering from the bleachers, Mike frowned. But, man, I wish we could have been in on the action. Sulley thought for a moment. What do you say we all go out this year? We'll train real hard for tryouts and everything. I say we start training right now, Mike said excitedly. Mike and Sulley spent the rest of the day playing Monster Ball in the park. They practiced their jumps, their mudslides, and their slime pit leaps. Soon, they were both tired out. I wonder if we're any better now, Mike said. He was lying flat on his back, panting. How could we tell? Sulley said. He flopped down beside Mike on the soft grass. I know just what we need, Mike said. A coach. The next day, Mike started calling around to see if anyone knew a good Monster Ball coach. He called his sister, his cousin, and his next-door neighbor. But no one was able to help. So he also tried his girlfriend Celia, then her cousin, his sister's best friend, and Celia's cousin's sister's best friend. Ooh. Finally, Mike struck gold. Celia's cousin's sister's best friend's neighbor knew just the monster for the job. The coach will be here first thing tomorrow morning, Mike said with a big smile. The next morning, Mike and Sulley took extra time getting themselves ready. Mike wondered what the coach would be like. Would he have many arms and legs? Monsters with lots of arms were often good at Monster Ball. Would he be tough, like a drill sergeant, or would he be nice? Whoever it was, the friends could hardly wait. The doorbell rang. Sulley ran to the door and flung it open. And there stood Roz. Good morning, boys, she grumbled. Roz? Mike stammered. You're the Monster Ball coach? Sulley asked. That's me, Roz said. She slid in. And you two are in serious need of coaching. She pointed to the floor. Push-ups, she said. 100, now. Mike and Sulley looked at each other and got on the floor. After the push-ups, there was an hour of monster tossing practice. Sulley would throw Mike into the air as high as he could and then catch him. In the afternoon, Roz had Mike work on his slime pit leaps while Sulley perfected his mudslide. They finished the day with something Roz called cross-training. This meant Sulley had to juggle a chair, a bowl of cereal, and Mike while Mike was knitting a scarf. They ended up in a heap on the ground. Was that really necessary? Mike asked. For every question, you'll give me 100 push-ups, Roz said. Start counting, Wazowski. The next day was even worse. More leaping, more tossing, more sliding. And that was just in the morning. In the afternoon, Roz finally let them play an actual game of Monster Ball, but she yelled at them nonstop. You aim like a blind mole, Sullivan, she told Sulley. I've seen icebergs move faster, Wazowski, she told Mike. I'm starting to think, Mike said, trying to catch his breath, that this was a big mistake. But it wasn't very long before Mike was leaping over the slime pit with ease, and Sulley could slide fast enough to reach a monster ball all the way on the other side of the court. I think we're getting better, Mike, Sulley said. All right, boys, Roz called. Show me what you got. She tossed a monster ball at them, and the game was on. Mud went flying as Sulley tried to reach the monster ball and whacked it over the net. And Mike was able to bat it away from the slime pit every time. The ball came whizzing back down, and they both jumped high into the air. Well, Roz said. She paused to polish her glasses. I have been more disappointed in my life. I think, Mike whispered to Sulley, that means she's proud. On the day of the tryouts, Mike and Sulley were feeling good. I think we'll make the team, Sulley said. But when they walked onto the court, Mike's heart sank. Is it just me, or does it look like everyone else has been training too? He whispered, or does it look like everyone else has been training too? He whispered to Sulley. There was a monster with tentacles juggling 6 balls. Several monsters were doing push-ups, one on one another's backs. And one monster leaped over the slime pit and landed on the other side of the net. The coach blew his whistle. All the monsters trying out for the team gathered around him. He divided them into 2 groups and passed the monster ball between them. The tryouts had begun. To keep the ball from touching the ground, they had to do everything they could to keep. When Mike and Sulley played hard, they did everything they could to keep the ball from touching the ground. At one point, Sulley even tossed Mike high into the air high enough to smack the ball straight down onto the other team's side. The coach was impressed. Great tryouts, everyone, the coach said. After seeing you all play, I've decided who will be on the team this year. Sulley and Mike looked at each other. This was the moment they had been waiting for. One by one, the coach began calling the names. Before long, there were hardly any spots left. Sanderson, the coach said. He looked at his clipboard. And finally, the coach called, Sullivan and Wazowski. Mike and Sulley high-fived. They had made the team. That was some good playing today, the coach said to Mike and Sulley. I hear you've been practicing with Roz. She's the best, Mike said. Now there's a monster who knows the value of cross-training, the coach smiled. Okay, team, grab your knitting needles. Mike and Sulley groaned as monsters got items to juggle for cross-training. Here we go again, Sulley said. One month later, Mike was flying through the air. It was the first monster ball game of the season. Whee! Mike yelled as Sulley threw him around toward the incoming ball. Whack! Mike smacked the ball back at the other team. As he sailed through the air, he spotted a familiar face in the crowd. It was Roz. Thanks, Roz, he yelled. We owe it all to you! The end. What would you do if you had to train for a game? Let me know in the comments below. See you later. Bye.